right, I believe I am live. What's up, Fredo? You guys, are we good? Are we live? I believe we got data. We got a feed coming through. Awesome. All right. Good morning, everyone. On the Western Hemisphere. Good morning, guys. You guys in Australia are probably packing it up. Pretty bloody morning, right? On everything, right? I'm gonna look over stocks, and then we'll dive into cryptos. We'll dive into as much as we can cover. It's gonna be kind of just a bloody crash look, right? Take a look and see what's happening. My last market update video was, hey, like, stop longing stocks because I think we're gonna correct, and you're actually like around these same levels. It was like 2 months ago that I said that, right? And just today we're seeing that down candle. That's probably the biggest one, the biggest daily down candle. Not quite yet. What's up, guys? Drop me a hello. Good morning. If you can't comment, we turned it on for like subscribers only. So just like click subscribe, and then within a minute you'll be able to comment. It's a new YouTube feature. Anyway, it's not about YouTube. It's about markets. S&P's looking pretty bloody. I want to take a look and see what's going on here, because like 2 months ago I put up a video saying we're going back to the 390 zone, right? So if you look at the SPY, it's still pre-market, so all you can see is that PRE price, right? So I was looking for like a 389, 381 move from like maybe off this high or off that high, right? Like some kind of sell-off like this. I don't know if that's going to be it, right? I was looking at some like possible 61.8s off previous swing lows, and you had something like this popping up, right? I had that would put us at a 61.8 right now. I'm just going to go to 720. Whoa, why is that happening? 60. Should be showing pre-market pricing. I'm gonna go back to the ES chart until we get candles printing on my S&P chart. So let's go to ES. All right, so if we go off this swing low, we could be at a 61.8. I'm seeing some volume come in and buy it, and this is futures in real time. So the 61.8 is starting to stick potentially. The QQQ, the NASDAQ, was looking more interesting because that's where my short was on TQQQ, right? And we're at 367. What is going on? Why can't I see pre-market candles? Where's my... Alright, let's go to NQ. Alright, so this was looking more interesting because we are at that 61.8 level, and it looked like it was trying to sell off a little below. So in terms of tech, right, the NASDAQ, we want to see a close above 15,092, right? 15 grand and $92. We want to see this type of close on NQ, right? And if we don't see a close above here, then I think we are in for that big move that I was talking about 2 months ago, for everything, right? BTC is also selling off as well. So ES, I think the next liquidity low, if this doesn't hold, is going to be that 428, 426, right? 42.89, 42.60. Going to be the next levels below. Let's look at BTC. Starts a little more complicated, right? Bitcoin's getting more and more complicated as over the years progress. We get all these supports, all these resistances. I'm just gonna clean this up a lot because there's a lot of fibs on here. These kind of help on smaller time frames, having the smaller ones, but like this gives us also a big picture of what is happening right now. It's kind of holding. It's not holding exactly in no man's land. So during this upswing, I was looking for like a failed rally at the 61.8, which was 47, right? And then we actually pulled up way above it to 78.6 at 53,000. And if you kind of stretch this fib out a little higher to cover that last high, you only had one test of it, right? So I'm gonna just keep my fib down here, because we did get the 61.8, right? It almost like a bull trap at the 53k mark, and then the 47 was resistance again. And the first time we touched it, we got knocked right back down. So at this point, are we looking at like a bearish continuation, or are we looking for an up move, right? And that's what's getting tricky. Is if stocks correct, I expect crypto to correct. If I think if we're in a corrective phase, right, it's going to look something like 2018, 2019, where we saw just a BTC correction and we saw an S&P correction, where it was just like a really corrective year, right? So if you look at the S&P, this was 2018, right? This is January 31st, and then it was just a corrective year, right? I think as of right now, that's my thesis for what's going to happen next in the market. I don't think we're going to continue raging up. But I could be wrong. We could be headed for like a liquidity grab type meltdown. We'll see. I want to look at some stocks. I want to look at some cryptos. I want to look at some tickers during this sell-off, because that's where the money's made, right? Buying into the lows and buying into crashes, right? Long in a crash, or actually like shorting before a crash. That's how money's made too. Also, like before that previous bull run, right? We also had a corrective year on the S&P too, where it was stuck between these fib levels, right? It was literally stuck in this range above 210 to 178, and it just did that for a whole year. So I think we should be in for something similar, right? Especially with BTC getting rejected back under that 61.8, right? The bearish retracement under this red line. So it's gonna look choppy and dicey. One thing I was eyeing was LTC, right? If that can hold the current levels right now, if LTC can actually hold the 61.8, which is like 155, that would be spectacular for the asset, because it would actually potentially remain bullish, just staying above that 155. But if 155 goes, then I'd start getting worried. In terms of what happened on that previous swing, if we take that last swing high and fib it down, right, for a bearish retracement, it wasn't even a 50% retracement. That's what was like disappointing. So I do think we potentially get a bounce off 155, continue to like 259, maybe 295 on LTC, but that 155 has to stick. So I actually picked up some LTC morning, like this morning on spot. I bought a little more LTC at that one. It was like 158 when I bought, because it bounced that first time off of it. What are you guys eyeing? Fredo, who all's in here? Just taking a look at Discord. Let's take a look at ETH. I kind of want to go back to the NASDAQ, the TQQQ and such. ETH's kind of looking like LTC, right? In terms of structure, right? It did a flag, broke out, broke down, little bull trap, and now it's extending back down again. Let's fib this last move. And 3050 has to hold, right? And our next level down is going to be that 2730. I'm also going to do a swing low to swing high, bullish retracement fib, and we're not quite at the 50 yet, so we could punch down lower to like 2873, possibly 2600. But this sell-off's correlated across several asset classes, right? It's happening in crypto, it's happening in stocks at the same time. Awesome. Thanks for the shills, Frito. We'll take a look at those. So it's crypto's selling off, stocks are selling off. I've said this before. When we're in risk on, they both go risk on. When we're in risk off, both assets go in risk off, and they both correct at the same time. And it also has to do a lot with the potential fibs that they're running, right? I've got a whole paper on this on Medium. Of if you're a regular of my streams, which I've been very irregular, I've talked about this. I've made videos about this. The link's not in the description, but it's out there. Let's look at Luna. You want BTC pairs or USD pairs? I'm gonna pull up USD pairs until you say otherwise. I think for something like Luna, I'd want to see where we are in terms of these two swings, right? So from this swing low to this swing high, is there a 61.8 that it's breached? And yeah, it totally looks like it breached the 61.8. It's a 786. Also, what I want to do is I want to look at this extension and see where we're holding, right? So from this swing high to this swing low, and see where that swing is potentially holding. At 786 fib, 26.26 is holding on Luna. Potentially, it could be potentially a good counter trade. Let's take a look at Sol. Sol was going hard, right? And then I tried to get in, but then I got stopped out. They hit T1 and I got stopped out. And I'm kind of leaving it alone for now. And on this one, because it's just been extending, we're going to do a basic extension to see if it knocked out the higher targets. Not quite yet. Also, we're going to do an extension of this range. Yeah, like this is really interesting with, look at all these wicks, right? Like I tried to get above 190.82 and it just couldn't get it close above it on the dot. So I think we could pull down to like 127, right? I'm going to do an alert here. 127. Also, I'm going to get rid of these fibs and just run a retracement off the last breakout, right? And this should be, so I tried along the 50. This is what I did last week, right? And broke up a little and then it kind of continued down. So I do think we can get down to 123. I think so. I think 123 would be a pretty good entry. 122. If 140 holds and it's a 50% retracement, and I would think it would just want to continue rallying up. And it would be the second test of 140, unless it's like a sideways day and then we break back down. Nice work, man. Nice work on getting in on Sol. I know Ched was shilling that really early in the server. Rune USD. I'm gonna pull up the FTX chart. This is looking like a lot of other cryptos. It's looking like a lot of other charts. I'm just gonna do this retracement to start with. And it's at that 50, not quite a 61.8. That's why I liked LTC earlier, because it was at that 61.8. All right. If we run this extension, so 7.36 might hold, but if we do get some kind of like push down, right, to like 6.5, that would be potentially a good entry for a bullish continuation, right? And if you look at like, that's if markets are still risk on, or we could see like a risk off in BTC and some kind of altcoin exit pump like we saw in previous years, right? But if you look at these previous runs, right, you go from swing low to swing high and you're gonna get continuation off that 61.8 if it's gonna happen. So like this one, right? But there was a new swing high. That's the thing. This time we haven't breached that that previous all-time high. Right? There's a lot of these where we get a move up, pull back 61.8, move up, pull back 61.8. So looking at, that's the kind of entries I wanna look at. Yeah, Ched nailed that, man. He was shilling it since I don't know how cheap it was. I got some Discord alerts. Let me check in on those. So we got somebody in tails. I wanted to look at some stocks too. Let me see what everybody's eyeing in Babylonia. I want to look at Apple. I want to look at Tesla. I want to look at a few other things. Just pop up Apple. Why am I not getting extended hours? This is really frustrating. Appearance symbol. There we go. Now we have candles. That's what I wanted. All right, so now we can look at S&P. So we'll go back to S&P or SPY, the actual ETF. So looking at Apple, right? It's below 143. So now I'm expecting like 142. Right? It's extending. It's really selling off. And interestingly, just like before this crash happened, I pulled up our speed indicators, right? Our XABCD scanner. So basically Harmonics scanner that we have. And we had tops on Netflix. We had a top on Apple. So it was the Apple top. Now we're seeing a potential ABCD. I don't like this one though because it had like two highs. But looking at like Netflix, we had a sell signal there. One day, there we go. Right, so we had sell signals up here on Netflix, and it dumped, and it looks like we could potentially see another turn back up to maybe retest 624. What's up, Tails? So Apple, I'm gonna set an alert a little lower, right where we had that fib to potentially counter trade it. Let's go back to the hourly. We can see our nice candles. Turn off the Harmonics scanner for now. Run a swing low, swing high. And 142 could be a buy zone unless 143 holds for the day. It's going to be really interesting when market, like 9:30 hits and we see the options market start interacting and more participants playing like the main market hours. I think it's going to be a really interesting day. Looking back at the S&P, now that we have extended hours, it's selling off, right? And last week I was talking about, in the server I was talking about, if we get breakdown past that 61.8, which was 442, right? We could see 429, 426 play out for minor liquidity, right? And that would be right here. That's not what I was trying to do. And that would be like right around here, right? And then, just today I'm looking at like, well, is this the last swing low that we could see a 61.8 hold at? And it's looking like a possibility, especially if you do like some kind of breakout formation and a retest, because you want to do your bullish retracement off a retest. So it's going to be an interesting day. Let's look at like our blocks. I mean, it would be a good day to try to pick up some calls today. Maybe scale out of some shorts. Our block's not looking good. I didn't have a long in it. I had longs in Home Depot. Broke back down, but I mean it's still looking decent. Where are we in terms of 61.8? Still above it, right? 327's holding. So we should see that keep going up. I'll do that. I'll run a harmonics on BTC, right? So I'm looking for like a 345 move on HD. Let's do a harmonics on BTC. I did that this morning for myself and it didn't quite. I don't think I got anything off of it. That's the hourly. Let's do a 2 hour, 4 hour. Yeah, I don't think it's doing anything right now in terms of the actual move. We might have to go in like a 30-minute time frame to try to pick out a low. Nothing, right? 45, 60. And you want to see something like that, right? Where it's putting a long signal. It's not. There's no formation. There's no harmonic pattern playing out right now. Let's look at ETH. Okay, ETH is giving us a print, and it's that 27.45 mark I was talking about, right? Possibly like 25.80 for a savage wick. We'll see how this develops. If this actually pushes down, it's got to do it soon, right? Because if it goes out further in time, then I don't think it'd be the same ratios. I'll look at AMC and GME. Let's do that. I shorted AMC at like 60, but that was a long time ago. Before I use the scanner on AMC, I wanna run some classic fibs, right? So AMC did a couple of moves. I'm gonna try to do like a full-on comprehensive view on that, right? So we had a swing high, swing low for the initial breakout, and so from the $7 to $1 range, it got up to 66, right? And there was rejection there, so it kind of broke back down. All right, now that we've got the big picture setup, right? What happened next on AMC? We had a breakdown here with a 61.8, right? 59. That's why I shorted 60 on this breakdown. Got out here. Haven't touched it since. So we're going to do, I'm going to stretch this thing out, this fib out a little further to see what kind of levels we get. And it looks like support wants to be at that $39, $40 zone, right? I gapped down, did this like false break. And, yeah, so let me put the scanner up now, since we have some basic structural support and resistances off of long term. We could see some kind of small move back to 45.77. If the market's tanking, I don't think if the S&P is going to continue pulling back and the QQQ is going to continue pulling back, and you're going to have like that corrective choppy year that I think we're going to have. I don't think AMC can keep raging up, right? I still think there's some profit to be taken off. Another thing we want to look at to assess is, what's going on with the trend, right? Is it doing like bearish retracements, right? Is it entering a bearish era again or not? And I'm going to go off this high, right? Off the previous high to currently. And it looks like 51 was the 61.8. So at this point, I think it's bearish until it gets above 51.26 and closes above 51.26. It's kind of how bear markets start happening, right? And I'm going to see if this move was something similar until it closed above and stayed above. So how it got up to like 18 and closed above 18 and continued off 18, right? For that big run, I'd want to see a move like that on 51 or something similar on a smaller scale, right? If you look at where I shorted the QQQ or the TQQQ is a 786, not a 61, because it kept going up. Right? Is it like 151? Right? So it was like, oh, it's the QQ. So basically it failed to rally above that. So that's where I was like, I'm gonna start shorting. Looks like market's starting to bounce. Let's look for a GME for you. Look at the daily. I think these meme stocks should be done. I don't think we're in that meme stock era anymore. I could be wrong. So you look at GME, right? Every time it got up to that 61.8, that red line at 313, it got rejected, right? Wick selling off, Wick selling off, Wick selling off. So can we get up to 313 again? That would be the big important question. The fact that it's under that 208 zone, this green line, did we get another smaller 61.8 rejection? Quite possibly, right at 211, exactly there. So I wouldn't be too optimistic about meme stocks. Let's look at Link. You guys smash that like button, man. Help us out. Trying to help you out with the crash. Let the YouTube algorithm give me a boost. So Link, I'm waiting for 22.14, right? Or it close above 24 before I add or interact with it. Litecoin was just a 61.8. Let's kind of look at that again. Yeah, it's bouncing, man. Litecoin's doing good at like 154. You guys have any more charts to ask about? I'm gonna be in the server. I figured like run some charts and run some possibilities on these assets before, as the day opens. It looks like 434 is holding that 61.8. The secondary one on the S&P is holding. It looks like the short target on the QQQ is holding, which was the 61.8 as well. And until these levels go, I'd expect until like if these break down, then we're definitely going to 352, 349. But if they hold, then I expect the trend to continue. So we're at a pivotal phase in the market. We should be. Yep. What else do you guys have for me? I did mention on Friday that the hedge for the weekend was a VXX 2650 calls expiring this Friday. So if you guys got into those, it's at $28.91, almost $29. So $2 in the money. I would make that a free play at this point. I'd actually sell half regardless of free or not. And bake in some profit off this drop, right? Because if the 61.8s hold, then we're going to be looking to hop in some calls. Let's look at gold and silver. I'm going to pull up the gold, the index, and let's go. Once again, I want to see big picture, what the F is happening. It could fib this, but I don't know if it's going to give us a lot of good data. And looks like it is, right? That 1733, right? Looks like it wants to be support. We have a swing low here and a swing high there. So we're going to fib that last move. And are we getting a 61.8? Possibly getting a 61.8 continuation. I feel like because gold is such a big market with so many participants, it could actually come down to 174.10, right? Or 1740. And off there, we should see a continued move up. Potentially, it could also be just losing value like everything else, right? So like if you look at 2007, 2008. I guess we did have a rally during the downturn. Yeah, we did. That was the last crash. Yeah, at this point, I would want to see continuation upwards here, like that 50%. I'm gonna highlight them. So this is the smaller 50%. This is the smaller 61.8. And ideally, if we get an up move for a swing from here, it should break above resistance, right? So we're seeing the 61.8 The berry 61.8 hold, right? This is sold off time and time again. 1, 2, 3. I'm looking, I looked at Raven, like right out, I was getting out of bed and I had a lot of alerts on Raven, and it looks like it could be ready to add if you're like me and you think it's going to perform in the future. It's also at a 61.8, so I think Raven at 9 cents is a good add. Let's look at silver. I have some silver. I feel like I've lost faith in the traditional metals in a sense, right? If you look at silver, like compared to where that last high was, it's either lagging or it's just underperforming, not performing. You're like, oh, there's a shortage in physical silver. It's like the most manipulated asset, right? Remember when I made that video about the silver squeeze, that it's very much unlikely, and if it was going to happen, we know who controls the biggest supply of silver, of physical silver, and who like built the derivatives for silver. So it's the same people. Not a fan of this price action. I think we could see $20.65 on the ounce. Let's do something like this where we could. I'm not exactly happy with silver here. The only way this would turn around here, like 22.2 would hold, is if it actually holds, right? And at that point, then this move down was a little bit of a liquidity grab to stop out whoever was hiding behind like this trend line, right? So, whoa, that's not a trend line. So anybody that was kind of hiding back here, hoping for a breakout, like this should have stopped them out. This should have stopped these guys out. But if this holds again, maybe we can trade it to the upside. I just don't see it swinging. USO is going to be the oil ticker. I have $50 calls that expire next month, the 15th. And it's close. We were in the money over the weekend, right? We were in the money on yesterday or Friday. I do think oil can push up to 63 or at least 54, right? 54 or 63 before continuing back down, if you're going to continue back down. Did I miss anything? Nope. Alright guys, so I'm gonna hop back on the server. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's take a look at before I do, let's take a look at the S&P again and the QQQ. We're at the 61.8, right? We're literally right at it. So it'd probably be a good day to take profit on that VIX, on the VIX calls we bought on Friday. Close them out and see what happens if you get a continuation here. And the QQQ, it's at that original 10%, well, TQQQ 10% drop, right? From this move that I got my short entry on, right? I wanted to trade it back down to this gap fill to the 61.8. So I'm not gonna get greedy. I'm gonna take profit on that TQQQ short that I had open. And see what happens, right? Because the expiry on that is Friday, and I'd rather keep those profits and maybe risk a little less for short continuation, or actually wait for some kind of bounce, right? So if you get a dead cat here on Q, right? If you get a dead cat, where would it stop? I think it would be just another 61.8 up or 50%. So I think like 142. If you get a move up to 142 and then we get rejection like a big wick, I'd want to trade that down to the downside again, right? I think this should be like the highlight of this video, is if we get a move on TQQQ, let's put back to QQQ, the actual ETF, Um, all right, so 374. If you get to move to 374, or even like back to 378, is it? Possibly if you get pinned, but I think most ideally, rejection at 374 should send it back down, right? And that would go hand in hand with what I was saying about being a corrective year and just lots of chop. And for the S&P, that reshort, right? Where would I want to reshort? Would be 442 or 440. Like if you get a rejection off 440, that's going to be really bearish. That's a 50%. Then we can expect a bigger move down to like 412. But if we get a move to 442, that would just be like the efficient market doing its thing, 61.8 bear retrace, and a move back down, right? So for now, I think if as long as 434 holds, the next destination on the S&P should be 442, and the next destination on the QQQ should be 374. You're welcome. Thank you all for tuning in the stream. As long as there's volatility and interest, I'm gonna try to keep bringing these up like pre-market, 45 minutes, and yeah. All right, guys, hop on the Discord. I'll see you there.